Well, that was a weird intro. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to episode 103 of DevChatter. It is Saturday, like September 9th or something, September 8th, I think. Yeah, there we go. And we are going to be talking about the Interface Segregation Principle today. So I apologize, screen's going to get red here. So hello, everyone. Hello, Will, Stoolpenner. I see a bunch of people saying hi. Yep. The hype is available and live. So there you go. So we are ready to get started. Sorry about the delay. I know it. I think it was almost 5 minutes today that we were sitting on that screen. So sorry about that, everyone. Thank you for your patience, and I am about ready to get started. You have a question. Is there a way to create a vector of class, like every position of vector has the same attributes? Not 100% on exactly what you're looking for. Might be better if we clarify that. I would recommend you hop over on the Discord and ask that question. We probably can't get you an answer right away because I'll be streaming and talking about this. But if you ask over there, someone else might be able to give you a hand, and if they don't, I might be able to help you out with that when I am done streaming. Okay, so we want to talk about the Interface Segregation Principle today. So the Interface Segregation Principle is one of the solid principles of object-oriented design. And what we've started doing here on the stream, by the way, the stream is DevChatter, if I didn't mention that at the beginning, we're doing a series called Solid Saturdays, where each Saturday we focus on one of the solid principles of object-oriented design. So today, obviously being the fourth of our Solid Saturdays, we are covering the Interface Segregation Principle, which in solid, S-O-L-I-D, I is the fourth letter. So hence why we are covering this one. We will probably continue the stream, the series I should say. Obviously we're going to continue DevChatter, but I mean we'll continue the Solid Saturdays even after we finish the Dependency Inversion Principle, which is what we're going to cover next Saturday. For these, we will be covering other related principles, patterns, practices, things like that, that we think are valuable to know. So we'll continue on that, doing the same style on our Saturdays, where we do some kind of grounding in a specific principle for that day. Okay, so with that out of the way, I guess the last thing I should mention before we get started is, if you don't know, my name is Brendan, and this here channel is DevChatter. So, welcome everyone. Feel free to get comfortable. We're going to talk about this real fast. We're going to use slides at the beginning just to explain the principle, but then we will jump into coding. We'll talk about the principle, so show some examples in our code base that are related to interface segregation, and in addition, what we're actually going to do is Steep Left, that's great. Glad to hear it. And then we'll start writing some code. And while we're doing our coding today, we will just consider how interface segregation applies. It could be that we end up with it applying a lot. Might be that it doesn't come up that much. There may not be an I in team, but there is one in solid. Well said, Will. Well said. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Make sure you grab your drink. Feel free to follow along. And let's get talking about interface segregation. So, interface segregation, as with all of the solid principles, is heavily related to its, partners in solid. So, I think we're going to find that interface segregation is going to feel a bit like, it's going to be related to dependency inversion. It's absolutely related to Liskov substitution. That's probably the one it's related to the most, actually. And then in addition, the interface segregation principle is also a little bit related to single responsibility principle. So the interface segregation principle says that clients, and this is a paraphrase, that clients should not be forced to depend on the methods that they don't use. So that's kind of like saying, if I'm using an object, so I'm the client of an object, I am using it, I'm calling methods on it, I should not be forced to depend on the methods of that object that I'm not using. Okay, what does that mean? let's take a look. So let's say that I want to connect a device, and it comes with a whole... We're going to look at a real-world example here with a nice bit of humor. Let's say I want to connect my device, and it's got... if you look at all these ports, it's got connections for HDMI, it's got connections for audio, USB. It has a whole bunch of adapters that I'm going to have to plug in. Well, I'm just trying to connect it to my phone. I just wanted to listen to music. So why am I stuck with this, using this adapter that has, 6 different plugs that are just going to be hanging off the edge once I plug this in? So that's kind of the idea. You have way too many connections on here, and it's really just inconvenient. So I wanted one. So the idea here is that the interface on that pair of headphones was bad. It was a huge interface. There were way too many connections, way too many different things to use on it. No one is going to find that convenient. And so the idea here is that we want to try and reduce them. So when we say interface, I want to put a bit of clarification here at the beginning. So I'm saying interface segregation principle, and a lot of people here that understand C#, yes, Will Bennett, that is correct. A lot of people in C# are going to understand the term interface to mean capital I interface, like the interface type. So in C# you can create interfaces. That's going to define a type. It's going to have a set of methods that are made available on the interface. And so when you use one of those in C#, and there are other languages that have that same concept, everybody understands that's an interface. It was named with that word on it. But some other things where you're defining interfaces, if your code depends on an abstract class instead of depending on an interface, that abstract class is the interface you're depending on. If your class depended on a concrete class instead of an interface, so you took in a parameter that was a concrete class, that class is the interface. So in some languages they don't have like an interface like we do, but they still have this concept, because really the interface is essentially the definitions of the methods and properties that you're exposing to your clients. So if your client uses you as the concrete class, that's your interface. Now, in your code base, you might define a class and have it never be intended to use except as its own interface. And in that instance, it's not so bad if it's got a too large of an interface. In that case, you probably have a single responsibility principle violation, not an interface segregation principle violation, because you're always accessing it through the interface, never through the concrete class. And so, not to say it's not a problem, but it's a different problem. Okay, so let's take a look at our next piece, which is going to be indicators. How do you find where you are violating the interface segregation principle? So we've talked a little bit about what it is. Let's figure out how we can spot when it's a problem. So whenever you have, this is the big one, this is the huge indicator. If you used ASP.NET membership back in the day, so early days of ASP.NET web forms, if you wanted to implement your own membership provider, you would have seen this all over the place. So the Liskov substitution principle violations, that is the best indicator. You can always spot those because there's throw new not implemented exceptions is the definition for your methods. If you have that, basically anywhere, you probably have an interface segregation principle violation as well. So pretty much every Liskov substitution principle violation is an interface segregation principle violation. The reason that you were needing to violate one is because the reason you failed at Liskov substitution is because the interface was bad in almost every case. So as I said, if you ever used the ASP.NET Membership API, you built a custom membership provider for ASP.NET back in the day, they had like dozens and dozens of methods that you had to implement. So you would inherit from this class and you just had all these methods and you're like, all I want is basic authentication. I don't need all of these like different password recoveries and other things. They built it all into one class, so it was enormous. They were like, it'll be simple because then you only need to do one object. And the problem was, you're like, well, yeah, but now I have to go implement this whole object. It was crazy. So anyway, if you see Liskov substitution violations with a throw not implemented, you probably have a bad interface. The next one, when you're using your interface as a client, you're typing in your code, you hit that dot, and you see like just dozens and dozens of IntelliSense options that you're not using, that probably means that you have an interface segregation violation. And then the last one that makes it obvious is when you're looking at your type definition. As my example shows right here, this is straight out of our code base before we did a fix. So this is not the current state of things. And I'll show you where this is and how we did it. But what I want you to look at here, my getAllChatters method has 2 references right there. My sendMessage method here has 97 references. So that tells me nearly everybody that uses this interface calls sendMessage, and almost no one calls getAllChatters. So that tells me, immediately upon looking at this, that these 2 methods do not belong in the same interface, because clearly 97 things are using this interface, which means it's like, you just look at that, it's like, okay, so 2% of the uses of this interface are to get the chatters? Yeah, no, that's not part of this interface. Okay, so how do we fix it? In order to fix interface segregation principle, all we have to do is split up our interfaces into smaller, more cohesive interfaces. So I mentioned sendMessage, clearly that should go into one, and getAllChatters should be in another one. They're cohesive, those are unrelated commands, and someone that sends messages does not necessarily need to look up who is in the chat room at any given time. Hence, split up the interface. I give our example right here. We have iMessage sender and iMessage receiver instead of iMessenger. So this part right here is one explanation of how we might do that. The thought here being that a lot of places that send out messages aren't necessarily listening for them, because they're probably giving notifications about things. Whereas the other one is responding to commands, and so is probably receiving messages because of that. And those pieces of code aren't necessarily related, so hence separating them. The nice thing that we could do here, and I actually noticed that PowerPoint must have helped me at lowercase this m here on iMessenger. So the idea here is that iMessenger could still exist. We can leave that in our code. The simple way to fix things is to add these 2 new interfaces and have iMessenger implement those 2. So everybody can still keep using the iMessenger, and it will be an iMessage sender and iMessage receiver until we can remove the dependency fully. So that's the idea. Welcome, developers from Mobitar. Hopefully you are having a pretty good Saturday. We are talking about the interface segregation principle here, and we're just now discussing how to fix it before we take a look at some examples in our code base, and then we will do some more just live coding today, so it should be a fun one. Okay, so the next thing that we could do to fix interface segregation after just splitting up the interfaces, what we're able to do is we can use inheritance for larger interfaces in order to maintain compatibility. So I was mentioning that iMessenger could just implement iMessage sender and iMessage receiver. And the nice thing is, because the implementation works the way it does, we don't actually have to worry about that. Hang on, guys. We need to defend the chat. Someone spam some more hypes in the chat there. Also, raid defense right here. Okay, the last thing that we can do is, it's capital H on that Echo Strike, but good try. We can use the adapter pattern in order to redefine our interface. So if we don't like the interface that we're using, we can actually use the adapter pattern in order to get around that. C# Fritz and friends, welcome everybody. Thank you for those raids, everybody. Good to see multiple channels coming in here. Yeah, see? Nice people. Alright, we do have to spam some more hype in the chat, everybody. Hang on, hang on. What, like everybody hosted me all at once? Welcome, everybody. Hang on, don't worry, Echo Strike. I can hype through this. We got defense against the raid. So... what is it? C# bot? I think that's the one. What? Oh no, he doesn't have it. This guy has it. Sorry. But welcome, everybody. C# bot. There you go. Okay, cool. So, welcome. We're talking about the interface segregation principle. We're going to be writing some code here in a second. We just wanted to finish talking about this. So I was just mentioning that if you are interested in still following interface segregation, but the problem is you have a large interface you're depending on, one of the best ways to get around that is to use the adapter pattern. So here are the ways that we are using this in our code today. So inside our bot, we're going to take a look at a couple of places where we are going to show in our code base where we're following interface segregation principle. So the couple of places where we are doing that are, we have that iMessage sender interface that I mentioned, and it is implemented by our iChat client. So we got both of those pieces we were talking about. The first one being, we extracted out the related cohesive parts of our code into the iMessage sender, and that let us avoid, let me back up to that real fast. That let us avoid this problem right here, where we had one method that was called 97 times and the other one only twice. So that's why we wanted to extract out that interface. It made it much nicer. So that's what our iMessage sender was for. The last thing is, when we needed to use an iLogger in ASP.NET Core, we realized the iLogger interface is big, and we didn't really want to deal with it. It was kind of a hassle. So what we did instead was we created an iLogger adapter, and that essentially just wraps around our iLogger interface, and we use that instead. So that's what the iLogger adapter is in our codebase. So welcome, everybody. It is time for us to write some code. So the code we were just talking about is the iChat client and the iMessage sender. They are right here. We also have the iLogger adapter that we were talking about, and the logger adapter. So those are the pieces that we were just mentioning that we're using. So the chat client, as I mentioned, is implementing the iMessage sender. So that means that we didn't have to suddenly switch everything that depended on iChat client to use the message sender instead. So we saved ourselves there. Let me show you what code was in here before. So the iMessage sender used to have these methods over here in them. And when they were over here, you'll notice there are mass amounts of references to the message, to send message, that really indicate that you did not want to have that over here. Yes, it is C#. We like C# here. It's not that bad. So C#'s a reasonably good language. There are a lot of good programming languages out there. I for one, actually used to be a Python developer. Oh, you guys are funny. Okay, so that's actually the concept that we're talking about here, is we can use this logger adapter. So we can split it up, and then if we don't like an interface that we have to use, so this interface right here that we were talking about is the Microsoft Extensions logging.logger interface. It's a beast. Let's pull it up and take a look at what's in here. Right. Sorry, it's just this one. So we have this one that has this method. Now, they kept it small, but I really don't like this method. It is ugly. Also, we're loaded with extension methods, so even though you don't see them, there are a whole bunch of extra methods all over this thing. It's kind of a hassle. So I simplified us down to log error and log information. Because I'm like, yeah, I can deal with these. So that's actually what we put in instead. And it works nicely. Searchmeister. C# has more curly braces and stuff. I wouldn't say it's all that much harder than Python, though. Adapter, proxy, and facade. There are a lot of related patterns in programming, and interestingly, the adapter pattern is sometimes called the wrapper pattern, but so is the decorator pattern. So you got to be careful with the names of those. There are only two types of languages: those that people complain about and those that people don't use. Exactly. CM Griffin knows exactly what we're talking about. Let's see. I think adapter is more when you are mapping to an existing interface. Facade is when you are simplifying one. That's probably well said there, Will Bennett. We're finding out something new about DevChatter. My having used Python in the past. I started working at a company that did C#, and I was like, oh, I can learn C#, and I did, and I liked it a lot, actually, once I got into it quite a bit. So C#, as I found out, was a very good language, and I also liked the fact that it was always improving. So that is actually one of my favorite things about C#, is not ever the current state of it. Now, I do like the current state of it, but my favorite thing about C# is that it keeps getting better. I do still like Python, and I do still like C#. So if I said I liked past tense one of them, then that was just a screw-up in speaking. It's not the syntax. It might seem a little intimidating. Oh, you think? I wonder what it is that that you would think would be intimidating in C#. One of the things I find nice about it is a welcoming developer community around it. Okay, so anyway, a couple of things that we want to do before we get started here today. First one, I want to thank everybody for showing up, and I'm going to spam that. Oh, and it's behind the Visual Studio host. So welcome, Visual Studio. You code on PHP and Go. Nice. I know a lot of people that use those. There are a lot of people actually picking up Java. I hear about a lot of people starting to get into Java. It's interesting. I was actually quite surprised by that, because I had seen Java sort of dying out a little bit, and it seems to have had a resurgence. So I was really thrilled by that. Not that I program in Java, but I like when developer communities reestablish themselves. It's really cool. And yes, Will Bennett, that is correct. There are a whole bunch of those. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some more of this stuff going. I didn't leave anything there. I didn't leave anything there. Did we leave anything here? No, we did not. So let's take a look at our code base, and we will get started writing some new code and talking about interface segregation principle as we go. Also, I should mention, for anybody who didn't figure that out from my bringing up GitHub at the start of this, we actually have all of our source code out on GitHub, so if you are interested in taking a look at that, contributing anything like that, it's out there. And if you are interested in chatting with us, there are actually a couple hundred of us developers who are in our Discord and are always interested in chatting about various programming things. So if you are interested, take a look at the Discord. The links are there in the chat or down below the stream. Okay, so did we leave anything sitting? There aren't any there. Nothing new there that we need to mess with. Okay, those all need to wait because they're related to the game. Okay, so last time on DevChatter, we were working on our JavaScript and specifically working on our SignalR code, which for those of you who don't know, SignalR is the communication tool that we use to talk from JavaScript to our C# code. So it talks back to our web server using a WebSocket connection. The nice thing about SignalR is that we can write the code using this pretty easy to use interface that is SignalR, and it will do these connections whether or not we have WebSockets or whatever kinds of connection it can through whatever the browser is. And interestingly, Java people, there was recently a Java client added to SignalR, so if you want to connect to a system that supports SignalR, you can use that as well. Snable, yeah, Java could be growing based on the Android community. coding. Okay, so last time we set up some basic stuff. I have been meaning to go and fix up my code in here because I kind of just hacked it together. So I am going to spend a little bit of time on JavaScript Cleanup here. We're not doing anything that requires that those be vars, so they are all going to be lets. Other things we're going to fix up are those, that one as well. And welcome everybody. Thank you for the follows on the stream today. If you are enjoying the content, feel free to follow, and that will get you a actually we'll leave that one a var for now. Line 11. What's on line 11? Something weird? Oh yeah, line 11's weird. Also. Good catch. There were just so many that I didn't bother finding and replacing. I was like, I can just... Wait, is that... That's the onload function? Whoops. That should end there. Oh, that's not how I intended to do that, but that's fine. Okay, little bit of cleanup there. Little bit of JavaScript cleanup. Let's confirm that that works, and then we will get things going. So for anyone who is wondering, this JavaScript we're looking at is actually the code that is running in a browser window that is here on the stream, all around me. I am surrounded by it. I am a mime in a box down here. Derp. Hang on. That is just the web application not actually wanting to let go and rebuild. Not an actual error. It just failed to copy the files after building. Other things. Let the curly brace hunt begin. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, that is the... And Echo Strike, you're actually correct. I was actually saying on Thursday when we were looking at that JavaScript that one of the things I want to do is there's actually one other module I want to extract out of that JavaScript code there. So there's extra stuff in overlay that we shouldn't have there. I mean, heck, notice I'm over 100 lines of code here. And for most of you who know, I try to keep my classes small, so it's... classes don't... sorry, I should say not classes, files. A file doesn't have to be less than 100 lines of code, but if it's larger than that, then it is definitely time to take a look at it and see if it can't be fixed. So... Okay. Bot should be in the chat room. There it is. Hi, Bot. How's it going? Hype. Okay, looks like we didn't break most things because hype still works, so that's a big one. Okay, so that is actually the piece that I want to extract out as a module. What's var still in here? Do hype. That only lives inside of this for now, so until we move it, it's going to be a let. What's our next one? That's the only one up there. Well, it's basically a global object anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you're all enjoying the stream, and glad to see you here, S&B and Stool Penner. A couple of people going to win a game of rock, paper, scissors, hopefully get themselves a few coins. S&B and Stool Penner, if you see people trying to play rock, paper, scissors that don't have enough coins, feel free to bonus them enough coins that they've got it. Okay, So that code seems to work as is. I am going to say JavaScript cleanup in a branch, Brendan, in a branch. And Rick, JavaScript. We're going to leave it working the same way, so I'm going to call this refactoring. And I like to be careful with that word, because refactoring means you didn't change the behavior at all. If you changed the behavior, you restructured it. So, big difference there. Let's see. JavaScript cleanup. There we go. Now let's take a quick look over in our other related files. So I'm going to jump to that folder here in the Solution Explorer. And I'm going to open up the Sprite right now. And the reason I'm opening up Sprite is because this is where we do our animation. So if you haven't seen it, because you somehow wandered in late, we do this craziness based on our hype command here. And that is all powered by JavaScript and an HTML canvas that is overlaid across the entire screen here. So we're going to do some other cool stuff with it eventually, but for now, I want to separate this out into an animation module, or something like that, that understands how these work. And the reason I want to do that is because once we pull that out, we could do other things other than, say, hype. We could, for example, have a couple of emotes blasting around anytime someone follows, for example. Or what we, for example, like that one. Games for the win, for example. Thank you for that follow. And that was perfectly timed. So we could have some hype emotes flying around when someone does that. In addition to that, we could do things like the massive hype explosion, for example, with like some submarine icons when someone subscribes to the channel. So those types of things we could do in response to this using our bot, as long as we have a nice bit of code set up for it. So let's see what we can do with this. So for now it's yelling at me because I have extra parens. I like having the parens there though. So, did we var it all in here? Ah, there we go. It didn't matter, but we'll go ahead and do those. No one was trying to use them elsewhere anyway. Let. Actually, this is going to be a const. Because we set that value and it basically just needs to exist. Okay. Very nice, S&B. Why is that there? That shouldn't be there. Function, sprite. Sprite that, sprite that, sprite that, sprite that. Now that I think about it, this maybe could have been a class, but instead of a function constructor like it is. Games for the win. In JavaScript, let changes scoping a little bit. So that is the big difference. Let will work a little bit more like what most of us are used to. Const will change things also. So before I do that, let me go ahead and do this. Refresh that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I refresh this page that's around me, because I actually want to make sure that that updates and is using the latest code because I adjusted the JavaScript. So now that overlay around me has been refreshed. Yeah, so the general advice today is that you probably want to use let instead of using var. So that still works. essentially the idea is that, you know how in C#, Java, and other languages like that, how you have block scoping of your variables? So in JavaScript, var objects don't have block scoping. So let me show you an example real fast, just for anybody who is wondering. This variable right here, I declare hype sprite in here using let. It was using var. When it's var, it's actually being modified, and I believe I have access to it out here. So yeah, so it's yelling at me there, but I think it still works. See, it says the variable is being used outside of the block in which it was declared, but it should still run. It's a nasty, nasty thing. Okay. Glad to Echo Strike. It's the discussion about what we're changing that's important. You can change the let on row 11 to a constant since you just assigned the variable and never change it. Oh, on line 11? Wait, line 11. I changed that variable, don't I? Yeah, I changed that variable. Line 11 over here? Oh, yes, I can. Thank you. Yep. Just like I did with the other one down below. I did the same one down below. You are correct. Although realistically, since I'm just returning them, I don't really need the variable anyway. I could just return the value. So maybe I'll do that instead. Can it figure out to inline that for me? Nope. Yeah, I figured that out. My advice is to keep things as calculated as possible to start and easy to remove restrictions, much harder to go the other way. Exactly, Will. You want to start out as restrictive as possible. Oh, you think loop variables can be constant? That is a good point. But actually, the interesting thing is that in this case, we don't even need that. We could just do that. We could change it to this. Whoop. And instead just do a basic return like that. We could do the same thing with this one. Let me see what's going on in chat. I never really thought about it before, but extension methods are kind of messy. They're hard to find and maintain. Yeah, sometimes, Echo Strike. There's a lot of value in extension methods in C#, but you're right that they can get messy because you can end up with a lot of them, and so that's the real challenge with extension methods. So if I were to use TypeScript, would it take care of things like let versus var for me? I believe so, S&B. Oh, okay. Love extension. And yes, Fuel Snable, which I apologize if I butchered your name, even though I've said it a bunch of times before, so if I butchered it this time, I've been butchering it every time. One of the nice things, for people who don't know, the LINQ, the Language Integrated Query code that was built into C#, they built a query syntax, but almost nobody I know actually uses that syntax. We all use the extension methods that were created and use lambda expressions. So if you haven't taken a look at that, it's actually really cool. So for anyone who knows JavaScript here, if you recognize the fat arrow syntax of creating your own functions inside of JavaScript, We do the same thing over in C#. We call them lambda expressions, and we'll often use them in something called an extension method, which is a way of writing code that it feels, actually, now that I think about it, kind of like this. This is almost like an extension method. Now that I think about it, because you're basically extending Sprite with a method declared outside of it, is sort of the idea there. Without extension methods, all link methods would have to be added to the IEnumerable interface and implemented by all implementers. Yes, Snable, that's the idea. Yep. Yeah, exactly. No one... Yes, I mentioned the extension methods. I just wanted to clarify for people that link also had the query syntax. Okay, so let's take a look at the next thing. So we got that. Are we done with vars in here? Nope. No more vars. Let's see. But before we do that, let's go ahead and refresh everything again. So we're going to run that. Let me refresh the page again. And then I want to get started extracting out this code so that we can try to explode with something other than hype. So there's hype again. It still works. Still going with random directions, random speeds. So everything seems to be working. So this is change var to let const. And thank you for the follow, by the way. If anybody's in here and has been enjoying the stream at all and hasn't clicked the follow button yet, you should. That or you should wait until we trigger this to work with the follow, but I'd still, recommend you do that anyway. Colin copied the C# extension methods. So one thing I want to clarify for everybody, programming languages, one of the best ways that they get better is by looking at what other languages are doing well and replicate your own version of it. That's actually why C# is such a good language today. It is the fact that it has been borrowing a lot of great ideas from other things. And if you've been following JavaScript, you'll notice JavaScript is basically following suit and grabbing everything up that C# has given it as well. So languages are pulling in things from other places. Exactly. C# pulled so much from functional programming lately, it is wonderful. You'll notice that a lot of syntaxes between various languages are fairly similar. Essentially, people are now saying, hey, someone did something pretty effectively. I should replicate what they did. Like, why go and, come up with my own way of doing it? There's so much good stuff. Yes, Will Bennett. One of the best things that you can do is actually steal the creators of languages and have them build them. Oh, yeah, see? That's what I mean. There are plenty of people that use Java. One of the biggest... So, I like Java. Java is a reasonably okay language. The biggest problem that it's had is the fact that it has not been advancing as nicely as other languages. The stewardship of the language is not as good as many other languages have. And so that is why C#, in my opinion, was able to surpass it. But I know a lot of people that like JavaScript better than C#. And, everybody's welcome to like whatever language they want. Okay, so you made an extension method in iEnumerable a couple weeks ago, but excluding IntelliSense, I don't know any other developers would know it exists. That's very true, Echo Strike, and so the trick with that is, within your own libraries, that's totally fine, but spreading it out to other people doesn't really end up working that much. I keep checking any videos he's in to see if he's signaling for help. Is he a hostage? Wait, what? Will, what did... Oh. You're talking about Anders. Okay, yeah. Alright, so, let's see if we can't extract out the animation layer out of the overlay, because the overlay right now, I want it to just be kind of like, almost like a controller on this side. It responds to actions and sends to the right person, so it's kind of like, bringing stuff out of there. You really thought we were going to respond to that message there, Lunar Tick? Hey, Teal Talk, welcome. Welcome, Lunatic. Welcome, everybody. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So, I am going to copy the overlay. Actually, wait, did I want to copy overlay? I don't think I wanted to copy overlay. No, I don't want to copy overlay. That's crappy. We're going to copy voting? Voting. So I'm going to copy voting, and I'm going to call it animations for now. I think, yeah, animations. Animations. There we go. So we're going to get rid of all of that stuff. Basically everything that's in here. And then, what do we want to expose? What's the interface? So remember, we're talking about interface segregation today. So I mentioned to you all that the way that our JavaScript code currently works, because we're using this structure, the, I guess, anonymous object that we declare and return from these functions here that we're creating for our modules, these create a sort of interface to this code. So this class is full of functions, and these define the interface. So where do we want to start with this? We want a... I don't know. For now, I'll put do hype on here. We're gonna die hype? Do hype. There we go. Do hype. It's gonna go on this now. Now the reason I'm putting this on here is because it is one of our methods that we already have, functions that we already have. Desert Griffin, welcome. So let's steal do hype. We're just gonna move it over here. Now, there should be some kind of complaint that do hype isn't in here. There it is. Animations, do hype. There we go. Alright, so that means we need sprites. Because sprites is part of animations. Our render function is also going to move over to animations. So the problem we have right now is that our overlay is doing all the animating. So that's what we're really running into. Oh, was someone asking about what pattern we have for this? There are a lot of patterns for how to modularize your JavaScript. I like the style we're using here, though there are some other newer styles that work well also. And you can also use things like require if you want to go that route. Just JavaScript concepts. Let's see, so we have that sleep method that I think we want to pull over here as well, because I don't think anything in there is using it. Render, I think you belong in the other one. Where's your end curly brace? Wow, you're a long method. Function, whatever. Okay. Oh, actually sleep was getting used over there. That's my mistake. Something going on in chat over here. Welcome, Barry, Carey, and Lunatic. Thank you for those follows. Much appreciated. Hopefully that means you're enjoying the stream. And anybody else that's interested, You can hit the follow button to get notified when we go live or be able to find us more easily. And then also, if you are interested, take a look at our Discord, and that is actually a chat application where you can talk with me or other developers that are DevChatterers and interested in talking about things. Let's see. So everything over here is working. That triggers. Start hub connection, create hub connection. Animation context was only used by that, so what that means is that when we do hype, we need to pass that in. So we need to pass in the animation context to do hype. There we go. Let's see. Lunatic, be me, write modular.js, have genius idea, put each function in a different file, code completely unreadable. Yes. You can use Visual Studio's keyboard shortcut Control-W to expand the selection to simplify selection functions of classes. Oh, yeah! So, one of the funny things that you don't realize, I believe that, that was implemented in Visual Studio because CodeRush actually had that for a long time. So that is one of the things that probably Mark Miller would tell you got sort of yanked from them. Where's render? Who called render? Window request animation frame render. Okay, so that's how it got called. Okay, so that means that animation needs to get, like, initted right off the bat in order to use this. Yes, Lunatic, that's the problem, is Control-W closes tabs in, like, a lot of programs. CodeRush is... Oh! They went even simpler with a plus minus... Oh, that's nice, Will Bennett. Yes, you have tons of long functions because you hate functions which only get called once, even though I know it's probably a better design. Oh yeah, I know some people that don't like that, but the nice part about having that called only once function is the fact that you can give a name to it, and so instead of having to have a comment for what it is, you get that. Which, yes, I understand technically comes with a very, very minor performance because of the fact that you had to change out the stack to call the function, but it is more readable, you're right. So, tough call there. So here's what we're going to do. I need to expose an init method on this. So, we're going to do init, then we're going to do render, which I don't know how much I like the name render. We might have to fix that, but we're going to expose do hype render, and then we need an init. Not sure why I'm functioning like this. Let's see. What do I have on my clipboard? That. So we need animation canvas and context. So we need those. Animation cards, let that. We'll call that, oh, actually, canvas, context, right? Canvas and context right here. So this is canvas, canvas, canvas. That is context and context. Whoops, context Canvas, canvas. What's going on in chat? Probably people yelling at me about stuff. Praise. What is this? You're probably violating Singer. Yes. Can't minify is just correct for that tiny performance impact, though. Johan B. So, in some, it depends on the programming language you're using, whether or not putting things into a method is going to get optimized out. So some compilers, for example, could figure that out. Potentially, if you were using a minifier, they could also figure that out and remove the unneeded method at runtime, method/function, whatever it is, in your programming language, and that can get optimized away. And again, it depends on compiler settings. So some compilers, it would depend on which compiler flags you'd provided them, whether or not they were going to do that optimization for you. So there's various things like that. It's going to depend on your programming language environment, etc. Some argue those long methods are more readable than introducing a function call. I think it depends on the case, though, Snable. There can be some places where adding the function can provide more clarity or remove it. If the function's clear on what it does but not how it works, then a lot of times for understanding of the code, you don't need to look at it. Change render to make the screen show the thing that is being passed into this function thing. Oh! Sounds like a plan, Echo Strike. For introducing shorter functions that they increase the testability. That's true too, Snable. If you name the methods properly, you don't need a mental stack. Yes. So the good naming of your functions and methods is actually what prevents having to look into them to see what they're doing, as Will Bennett just mentioned. If you name the functions well, it can be really easy to read the code. Exactly, Specimen. I always say, by the way, your name, I love your name, but it's really hard to say. So I apologize when I butcher it on stream. Because I strive for testability, usually means shorter functions. Makes it much easier to translate to other languages when your functions are small. Yes, Will Bennett, that's true too. Good suggestions. Hey Simon, welcome. How can I trust the name relates to reality? So Snable, sometimes you do need to trust in the other developers. To which I would argue, if you can't trust the other developers, you are on the wrong development team or working on the wrong project. Alright. So, let's see. So we pass these in. Canvas equals animation canvas. Whoops. That is not the right key, Brendan. What are you doing? And context equals animation context. Boom! There we go. Okay. So I'm going to call that over here in the overlay. When we do our setup-y type stuff, we're gonna say animations dot init, and we are gonna pass it animations. I'm just gonna mess up my typing. That's what I'm gonna do. And animation context. There we go! Hooray! Brendan typed a thing without totally butchering it. Alright. So I'm going to jump over here. So those get set. We're going to come in here. We're going to render this. And then doHype no longer needs that passed in because it gets access to it now. Sprites push, there we go. Feel Snable, you don't trust yourself. I love it. In your high school, you were taught how to. Yeah, Will Bennett, you want your method calls and things like that to be in plain English and describing what you're doing. And yes, I will recommend for a lot of developers, even if you are not a native English speaker, put your method in English. And I say that because developers as a whole, the internet as a whole, is primarily in English, so it's very helpful to do that. Okay. So we've defined this pretty simple interface for animations. What we're likely going to do, so I have this as do hype. We're probably going to rename this to be like explode or something, and you pass in what sprite you want to use, I think is the idea. So right now, we're creating a sprite object, but I think we might just, based on this image, but I think what we might want to do is pass in what image we want to use, and that sort of thing. So, Johan B, yes, exactly. So, I was talking with, who was it? It was, one of our regulars in here was talking about how they work with a dev that they say writes their code in Finglish, or something. It said something like that. Yeah, so there you go, Stolpenner. See, that's exactly what he was talking about. The same kind of thing, different language, obviously, but where you mix multiple languages into one method, and you really screw yourself, because then it's like, okay, you end up with devs that, it's like, okay, you now need to speak multiple languages in order to read this code. So, yes, Johan, Finnish and English was the combination. So, like, again, the same idea, like within a method name or a class name or something like that, there would be Finnish words and English words in the same thing, and you'd be like, what? Like, what kind of crazy person does this? So, and yes, Stolpenner, the hype works. So this is actually all it's doing, is that, and the sprites know how to handle themselves if you don't give them any parameters. That's true, Will, but that is providing it as an option. That is not in a method name. Don't even try to pin that one on me. Just because I let you stop a vote with Finn. Because we also allow done and end and tomato. Once worked on a document management system integration project where the document management error messages were all in German, made things interesting as it was very nice, Simon. That's very nice. Huh. Okay. Now the question is, does this still work as is? So here's what we're going to try. I'm going to go ahead and run this code. We're going to see if it works. So step 1, we run that again. Step 2, we refresh the overlay. Refreshed. Now we type in hype and nothing happens. So we broke something. Let's go figure out what it is. Alright, let me bring this over onto the screen so you guys can see it too. So here's the overlay. This is actually what's displaying over my screen right now. Oh, there we go. Raven's error. Do hype is not defined. Animations. Oh, derp! Derp. I know exactly what the problem is. Hey, yeah, I mean, I wanted to show you guys how this works. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was, yeah. How did you know? Yeah. Yeah, what? No. Yeah, I totally didn't forget to include the JavaScript on the page because we're not actually using something that goes and fetches it. So we're not actually using real modules here, we're just kind of faking it. But that's because I didn't want to go and actually commit to a specific thing yet, so that's on me. I was being, you know... Son of a gun. ASP.NET, let go! Let go! Let go of the files! Oh, sorry about the white screen, everybody. Yeah, it's probably bright. Yeah, so English is a weird language. There's some good things and bad things about it, but at this point, basically, if you want to write code, you pretty much have to know a little bit of English. If only because the documentation for everything is going to be written in English first. And a lot of the programming languages themselves have English in them, as well as the libraries we use. Oh, actually, this might trigger on both. Nope, it didn't. All right, what's the next error? We didn't wire something up. Oh, I didn't update on the overlay to tell it where render is. This is animations.render. Refresh this page. Do hype is not defined on overlay line 100 and 102. Why is overlay returning those? We're not calling this anywhere, are we? I'm confused by that. Maybe we did that for testing purposes? Okay, it's going over there. So, cool. It works again. Alright, now to fix it on the overlay, all I have to do is refresh that page and it should work again. There we go. Got it. Nice! Alright, let's load the overlay back onto the screen here. /overlay. Load this. Yeah, that's what I'm going to find out what those exception messages were, if there were any. I'm not seeing any right now. Oh, yes. Localized exception methods, that's also bad. Okay. So there we go. So we extracted our code into there, which gives us a nice simple interface for doing animations. We're going to improve that interface a little bit, make it able to take in the parameters we want so that we can generalize this to not just be the hype emote that does that craziness on the screen there. So extract animations module. And on Thursday, for anyone that didn't know, we had a guest on the stream. We had Kevin Griffin here, who was able to help us a little bit with our SignalR code that we are doing on this project. So we made our connections to the web server a little bit more reliable by using some, essentially just some retry logic in SignalR. So it worked out well. Okay, what do we got here? So animations, we need to extract out this. At minimum, we need to extract out what the image text is that's here. So I'm going to say image source. img src. src. There we go. Janiscu, I have no idea what you were just typing there. Overlay. Where do we call do hype? It should be down here when we're responding to hype. No, it's do hype, right? Do hype. Don't pass that in. Pass that in. There we go. Alright, now we've changed that. Let's go ahead and refresh this again, and we're going to try the hype emote one more time. Yeah, sorry, Janiscu. Let me get that for you. There you go, Janiscu. You're welcome. Oh, dang. Oh, those don't refresh right away, Janiscu. Sorry. Next time the bot restarts, it'll be there. That's one of the bugs that we have sitting that we need to get back to. When we changed out how all our dependencies worked, we didn't get that one wired up right, so that's why that isn't reloading correctly. Let me close that. Okay, so wait a minute. I just did this, right? I think I did that. Yeah, hype's working still. Okay, cool. Yes, that is SignalR you're seeing. That is correct. Yes, we are using SignalR to communicate with the server. So for anyone that doesn't know how cool this is, when I type hype into the chat over there, what it actually does is that chat message is sent out to Twitch. Twitch then sends that down to the bot. The bot is a website. That website sends a SignalR message to the JavaScript browser page So the JavaScript in the browser page, there's a browser page over this screen. So this entire surface area is covered with JavaScript. And we have an HTML canvas on there, and so it renders all those little hype emotes everywhere. So that's actually what that's doing. Okay, so the cool thing is, we can now do something other than hype. Where is that images folder? Right here. Do we have anything else in there? Bible Thump? We don't want to use Bible Thump. But we do want to use our derp emote. So let me go find that. In the form that all of you could find also. Twitch emotes, DevChatter. Where's my code for this project? It is... I'm just saving a file from the internet, guys. This one's really not that interesting, trust me. DevChatter bot source web www images. This is DevChatter emote .png. There we go. So you all saw that image just appear right here. That's our derp. And what we can do is this now. I'm not committing that yet. So this is extract Sprite image to hype about. Okay. So, first thing, this is called do hype. We're going to fix that name. It worked well enough for us before because we were like, how do you do this? It's covered in JS, sounds a bit... yeah, that's fair, Stoolpenner. I didn't even think about that. And the red button on the corner screen. What is this? Control T... Yeah, no, I was doing something else. What would be cool is if you could apply a WebGL pixel shader. Fuel stable. Yes, we will look at some of these things. Don't worry. We'll do some cool stuff. Yes, exactly. We gotta make sure it's really working. Make hype take an image name as a parameter in chat. Yeah, that seems dangerous. Games for the win there. That seems really dangerous. We're gonna rename do hype though, because I don't like that one. So what is this going to be? Image explosion? Explode, what is this? Blast image. Blast images, there we go. And, Copious, welcome, thank you for the follow. Sprite explosion. Yeah, I like it. Sprite explosion's not bad. Okay, so blast images. Now I have to rename this property as well, because this is actually what they call, funny enough. And it did not actually fix it. Good job. Way to find where that was. Okay, so there's blast images. Oh, and actually I forgot to mention, I've been doing this whole stream. If anyone's interested in getting a DevChatter derp mug, to let everybody around you know, yours will not be invisible. That's just mine that's invisible. This is the chroma key version. We do actually have these, so yes, thank you, Stoolpenner. Alright, so that's how we blast the hype one. Let's do this. So bot hub connection, we have hype. Let's do derp. I don't think I have a derp yet. So instead of a devcha hype emote, we have a devcha derp emote that we should be able to do. And let me just confirm that there's no derp method. Nope, no derp yet. So now we get to go create a whole thing. And actually, before I commit that one, let me get rid of this method duplicate right there, because I want to do that. I want to commit this separately. So rename do hype to blast images. blast images? Blast images. There we go. Now let's put the derp back in here. So essentially what we've now said is connect to the website and wait for the derp message to show up, which right now I'm going to put this in as two methods. There's hype and derp, but likely what we'll do is we'll make a blast image method that from the server will decide that. So down on the client, we'll just receive what image we should be showing. So we'll pass this parameter in. But the simpler thing for now is to just add this extra one. So, where do I want to go to make that happen? Let's go to hype command. Now, interestingly, I'm thinking about changing the command. I've got an idea, guys. I might take us down a really fun rabbit hole. Hype icon, shoot down the derps. Yeah, we could potentially do something like that eventually. Oh, yes, stool penner. I absolutely do want to do something where we have mixed. Yes, Maureen, we're gonna dive down a rabbit hole, I think. I'm not sure if we'll go all the way through the rabbit hole today, but I think we're gonna look into one. Because I've got an idea. There is a long-standing feature that has existed in our code base. So you all may have seen that I used the alias command. Janisco, are you still in here? Janisco, you better still be in here. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to restart the bot. Once I kill the process and let it actually rebuild. Yeah, you couldn't because the things were in the way and the something. Visual Studio, always a complainer. Just can't go with the flow, you know? Come on. I just need to get out a hammer and just like beat Visual Studio until it actually does something here. There we go. Thanks, Visual Studio. So the mod is back. So if Janiscu's still here, anyway, we have aliases on different things. So since he's not here, oh, there it is. Stool Penner looked it up. So there it is. So that alias we created at runtime for the rock, paper, scissors command, those aliases work nicely. Now here's the limit on them. Let's say that I wanted, instead of typing in RPS rock, let's say I wanted to make it so you could just type in rock and it did RPS rock, and that was an alias for both the command and the parameter you wanted to pass to the command. And so the idea, I should say the argument you wanted to pass to the command, just to clarify here. But that is the idea, is that it would be nice to have those. So what I'm thinking is this. You could make hype actually be, you know, like blast hype or something like that. And then you could make derp be a shortcut for blast derp. And so that's the idea, is if we did something like that, that would actually be a nice way to do it. And welcome, thank you for that follow. We don't yet have a follow one wired up. But maybe we could have the follows automatically trigger the hype one. Who knows? Okay, so where was I? Hype, DevChatter. So that is the hype command. Let's duplicate that. It is going to be the derp. Whoop! Derp command. Let me derp my derp command here. Derp. Derp. Overlay, 2-minute cooldown. Derp is going to be a 5-minute cooldown. We don't get to derp as much as we get to hype. Derp, derp, DevChatter, derp. Alright, there we go. So, now instead of calling hype, we call derp. So we're going to create derp as a task on here. And as soon as I've done that, we now need to add to the class that implements this, because it does not implement a derp method. Where's hype? Hype, where are you? There you are. And then this one is going to do the same thing this one did, but instead of calling hype, it's going to call derp. And it's going to be async. There we go. So now, this needs to be a task derp on that interface. And let's compile and see what happens. Let's see. There's an I candidate. Will Bennett, what are you talking about? I candidate, what do you mean? So when will this be able to play Zork? Lunartic, so we're not actually building Zork, but we are actually building a text adventure game. So if you want to take a look at what we're building, take a look at the code in our MUD branches, M-U-D. So we actually have those on our Git repository. It's not merged in yet, but we are starting on that. That's one of our long-running projects. So if you take a look at this branch right here, this one is working on our text adventure. So you'll see we have the game started right here. Although this branch is not up to date, we need to merge something into it. But yeah, that's our long-running branch for that feature. So text adventure will be a thing. Don't you worry. It doesn't need to be sarcastic. Anyway, all those unrelated commands in one interface. Oh yes. Good point, Will Bennett. Good point. We do need to break those apart. Those are separate things. You are 100% correct. We need to break the iOverlay display into multiple interfaces. Good call. And that is a great thing to do today too. Okay, did I get all of those in place? This builds. Let's go ahead and run this over here. So we're gonna get this going again. The bot should say hello in chat one more time. There it is. Hello, bot. Welcome. Let's see. Hype still work? Cool. Hype's working. Let's wait until hype finishes, because I know that they're not. So we're gonna actually have to queue these up so that when we tell it to run one, it does not start until the previous one finishes. Did derp work? Rip. Oh, that derp is on me, actually. Hang on. I just remembered I didn't refresh the page over here. So on this screen, I need to actually tell it to refresh. Refresh. Derp. Hey, there we go. There's the derpy guy. Oh, man. Derp. Alright, we now have hype and derp. And so that's actually pretty nice. So I'm going to commit this, but then what I'm going to do is we're going to fix up the way that it works. So this is add a derp command. There we go. So we have now added the derp command. So yes, I like derp also, Ancient Coder. It's a good one. And hopefully I won't mess up so much that we have to use it all that often, but we'll see. Okay, so what Will Bennett was pointing out, I think it was Will Bennett that mentioned the interface candidate here. So interestingly, Will, if you were here when we had Kevin Griffin on the channel, I did talk about the fact that that interface probably needed to be broken up, but that for now we could keep it together and just use it like this. But you are totally right. We really should break it apart, so let's do that. You like the derp, Simon? Yeah, well, that's why he's derping on my mug. See? Look. It's the derpy guy. He's on the mug. It's really hard to see because he's green. And, the chroma key's clearing out green, but he's derpy. We like him. He's our favorite. He's coding, too. Okay. What do we call on this one? Hype and derp? Okay, so this is public interface iAnimation display. Hype. Let's see if we can't break these out in derp. So these are the animation display ones. Okay, that's just funny. Apparently I didn't even need that. Which is kind of hilarious that those aren't even needed. Do I seriously not need those? Because it implements that, it's just guaranteed to have them? Wow, if that's the case, that's amazing. I'm gonna try that. We'll find out if that works. Okay, it is not that interface, it's this interface. An iHub context of that. Wow, I really hope this works. If this works, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, Janisku, if we can do this, that's a fantastic change thanks to solid principles right there. I'm going to refresh the page just to be absolutely certain, but let's try this. So first off, hype works just fine, and if I breakingly trigger derps as well, it animates twice as fast and spams the crap out of that. That's insane. That might be the best thing I've seen in a while. Let's see if we can break things. Yeah. Yep. That slowed down a little bit. So there may be a small problem with our code there, but Trunksy, hello, welcome. Aloha. That was good. I like that. It's the little things in coding. It's the little things. So this is extracting the... what did we pull out here? This is... iAnimation overlay interface. So that's what we pulled. Yeah, Simon, just a couple. Yes, Lunartic, that's the idea, is, wait, I should fix it by changing repeated commands of the same type to just add effects to the sprites, like cycling through colors. Oh, that would actually be really cool. No, Echo Strike, I don't think we need that much. I'm only running, like a GTX 970 or something like that. It's an old video card. The computer I'm running this on actually is not as powerful as you'd think it would be. It's 3 years old at this point. So this is iVoting display. Derp. And I just realized that needed its own file. So there we go. That is nice. Let's give this its own file. Whew, and those are going to need to get put in a folder. Which I'll do after we get them committed this way. Hang on, let me see what's going on in chat. You ever use Notepad++? Yeah, I use Notepad++. It works. So you're using it for HTML. You did 6+ months, and it was fun and easy till you got distracted by IRL stuff. Oh! Yeah, so if you're interested in coding and things like that, whether it be web stuff with HTML or anything like that, I would highly recommend you take a look at VS Code, actually. VS Code is a fantastic text editor that you'll probably like better than Notepad++ for a lot of things, although there's a couple of things that Notepad++ will do better. But I do recommend you take a look. So I have used Notepad++, and actually, I would, so you can probably get some, I don't know where to get themes for it. I don't customize the theme on my Notepad++. Will Bennett, I think if he's talking about Notepad++, he's not probably planning on jumping to Visual Studio where you'd get Code Rush. Speaking of which, oh, Lunartic, you like Notepad++ better. Well, there you go. Part of the reason I recommend that if you take a look at the Stack Overflow survey from this past year, VS Code is actually a more popular text editor than Notepad++. But popularity isn't everything, as we all know. Hangman display. We're going to call it Hangman for now, despite the fact that we're probably going to want to change this to be the game display, so there's only one game playing at a time, something like that. Although it could be Hangman and there's only one context, we'll have to figure that out. So I use Notepad++ all the time for things like notes and stuff like that, but for actual coding I use VS Code or Visual Studio, obviously. I say Visual Studio as I'm in Visual Studio. I need to break this one up too. Close that, close that, close that, close that. There we go. Close that, close that. This is the Hangman display. There we go. Voting, go to this one, change that, jump back, we have this, go to this one, change that. Let's see if we compile right now. VS Code is great once you have a command line based tool chain and Commander, Netcore, Web UI framework of your choice. Nice to save a file and all that. Listing test compilers, automatic updates. Well said, Simon. Yes, you do need to figure out some of those other things, like what tooling and other things like that you're going to work with. Adding multiple new tenors. Next Windows release. Echo Strike. No one here is gonna use Notepad for writing real code. Use VS Code for PowerShell stuff at work because they... Oh, okay, cool. So this seems like it works right now. Let's give this a shot. So we're gonna run the code again. I'm gonna refresh our overlay, and we're gonna take a look at what we get. So first thing we're testing, derp, hype. So those still work and they go a little crazy. Next thing that we want to test is Hangman. Whoops. Hang on. That didn't display right. Something went wrong. The word was tacos. Alright, let's try this again, but, you know. Hey, there we go. Rendered right this first time. I think something with derp probably messed it up, and I don't know what that was. It's very strange that this didn't come up. So HMD. Hey, there we go. Is it banana? Boom! The word was banana. Oh, you started the game before it refreshed the screen. That's what happened, Stoolpenner. Okay, I got it. Yep, we're good. Okay, so that stuff works. Let's see. So the Hangman game's running. Let's try voting. Vote new C#. Actually, here. VS Code. Notepad++. Notepad. Sublime. There we go. Now everybody can vote. Good job, Lunatic. Way to put your foot down on Notepad. So, looks like these pieces still work. So, while you guys, make sure that we confirm what the correct answer is in the development world, I am going to go ahead and commit these. Extracting more interfaces. And someone triggered hype. Good job. So, we are absolutely following interface segregation today. That's looking good. So this notification thingy also got kind of big. We did bot hub overlay notification, which probably got used in a couple of places, but we probably want to wrap each one of these individually instead of doing this big one that we've got here. So let's go ahead and do the same concept. So I am going to make a new interface that I am going to call actually, no, let's go with that. It's going to be long. That's going to be a long interface name. Missing ED is the standard? Wait, what? Wait, what's missing? Vote punch cards. Yeah, exactly. Do I have done as one of the words? Nope. Visual Studio wins! Vote count 5. There we go. Alright, so animation display notifications is going to be hype and derp. There we go. Hype and derp. Next thing, let's duplicate this. We need the iVoting display. And that's going to need the voting ones, which is going to be these two. And this one. And that means that last one can be an iHangman display notification. There we go. So now I need to split up this class into a few different things. Rigged, Lunatic. Yeah, Will Bennett's right. We don't do recounts. Our voting system isn't all that sophisticated anyway. If chat wins Hangman, it should auto hype and auto derp on loss. Oh, Echo Strike. I love it. Echo Strike, that is actually a brilliant thing. We are totally going to do that one. I love it. That's a great idea. So, first things first. Let's go ahead and grab the iAnimation display notification. We're going to put right there. And we're going to say animation overlay notification. There we go. Move this up here. That is going to be initialized from the constructor. And then we're going to add these two little methods here up into this. which means we don't need that anymore, we don't need that anymore. And these can get their own file. So, move to your own file, please. Okay. Now back to this one. Let's get that into its own file. So next up is going to be voting. So if we go back over here, I'm going to duplicate this, we're going to give it curly braces. We're going to make it implement this new interface here. Nope. It is going to get a better name. I may have messed up the other one's name. We're going to need to check that. Implement the... Oh, you know what? I'm just going to steal the missing members from down here. Who am I talking about? Vote start, vote received, and vote end. Chop. Because if I didn't do that, they wouldn't automatically be async. So, and we want them to be async, so we're stealing that code to do it. So bringing this up here. And then this is going to get assigned based on the constructor. So there we go. Nice, nice. There we go. Move to its own file. Now on this last one, let's remove the hub context. This one is just getting renamed. Let's move that to its own file. This one needs us to rename the file it's in. And we jump back over here, change that. Yep, that's the interface to use. And you guys are probably yelling at me about stuff in the chat and I'm not seeing any of it, but I will look there in a moment. Did I rename this file? Rename file. There we go. Okay, what's going on in chat? What did I miss? What did I miss? Feature suggestion: make it show a percent of the vote rather or in addition to a number. Oh yes, Simon. So we're gonna show a percentage. We're gonna show the number, a percentage, and it's gonna be on a bar. We are gonna make that nicer. That should be an issue at the repo, or do you want to do it now, Brendonius? Stoolpenner, what are you talking about? Also, we could change it so that the votes aren't in chat or a different room to prevent chat from being spammed with votes. Lunatic. So what I'm going to do instead is we're going to have a notification pop up on the screen to say who you voted for. So you'll still type the vote command in chat, probably, but we'll display it up on the screen instead of responding back and saying what you voted for. Down here, we'll put it on the screen instead, so it'll be nicer. And you could also open an issue on GitHub for it, Lunatic, just to make sure we get it. Oh, Stoolpenner, you were talking about the auto derp hype. Putting that on the repo? I don't think I'd put it on the repo per se. I think I'd put it somewhere else. So anyway, voting system is going to have the iVoting display notification instead of that one. And let's rename it here. Voting display notification, yep, rename that too, please. This one is the iAnimation display notification. Underscore animation. Yep, get that one too, please. Next. Whoops. This is going to be, paste that, underscore A. There we go. Get that one as well. And then last but not least, this one right here where we have to do the Hangman one. Hangman display notification. Place that there. and paste _h, and yes, rename that one as well. Okay, let's take a look at our code and see what we ended up with. Whoops, I missed one. Okay, let's do this. I really want to loop these now. Animation. Okay, what did I call this one? Derp. Did this rename the file? I think it renamed the file. Hangman, and then this one needs to be voting display. There we go. Why did it interface that? Is that not what it's... Okay, there we go. So animation hangman, and then that as implemented interfaces. That's fine. Yeah, no, we'll pull those out. Single change at a time, everybody. Single change at a time. We extracted out a bunch of interfaces. Let's make it work first. You make it work, then make it right. You don't go for the ideal code right away. Hang on. All right, let me make sure we refresh this page just so that we're definitely certain that it's on the new. Yeah, exactly. Oh, why didn't you write the ideal code from the start? Alright, so we got that, and then there's the derps coming in, doubles the speed, because our code's not quite right, but hey, whatevs. Next thing we want to test out is starting a hangman game. Looks like that works. Whoop. HM. E. What words start with E? ASCII, what'd you say? Didn't you know this was 100% no refactor speedrun? Oh, dang it, smart ASCII. That's what I messed up, huh? Wait, what is that word? Remember, it's probably a programming-related word or a food-related word. Oh, is it Emacs? Yeah, I can't type. Hey, I win! It was Emacs! Nice. Got it. Got it. Victory. Victory. Tacos. Taco burrito. Let me take a look at this. That's that. This is that. That's not bad. That was a loud sound. I think my cat must be breaking something. Okay, separating, notification, hub notification, wrapper, interfaces. There we go. Can you make the hangman game accept a whole word and give extra coins for it if it's right? Oh, actually, Gareth, it does actually, you can do the whole word. So... you can complete it with that. Let's see if we can figure out this one real quickly so we can... Ah, wow, I got it. So, see? Pizza. It gets it like that. So you can actually do it that way. While people are here, since I know there are a bunch of people talking in chat, I want to make sure I mention that if you are interested, you should join our Discord. There's actually a lot of discussions that go on over there. So, links over there in the chat. If you don't know what Discord is, it's a chat application. We have at least a couple hundred devs in our Discord, so if you want to chat about stuff, that is a great place to do it. And I realize I should fix up these using statements at the top of my file here. Don't know how those got so messed up. Let's clear those. Close that. Wow, that needs to get fixed up. Hangman game's still nasty. Well, guys, it's looking like this might end up being a cat stream. I got a cat causing problems over here that I might pick up and invite onto the stream, but no, he's going to run away before he gets picked up. What does pizza... Will, I told you, the words have to do with either food or coding. It's food or coding, one or the other. Sort usings. Okay, the last thing I wanted to do was I noticed that these were not in the right place. Take a look at this. See how messy and bad that was? Look at that. Oh, man, that's terrible. We need a place for these. Those are the displays. System settings, messaging, exceptions. Okay. So for now, I'm going to create a streaming folder. We're going to put those in a streaming folder because that's slightly better than where they are now. And then we'll have to figure out something better for them later. Oh my god, why did it come down all the way there? Why did it... Oh man. Visual Studio, what are you doing to me? What are you doing, huh? There we go. That was almost really bad. Okay. Streaming. Has these. Let's fix their namespaces now. This is going to break everywhere because it has not, for some reason, figured... Oh, good, that one figured it out. So only one of them is going to be messed up, I think. It's going to be the animation one that didn't figure out there where it's supposed to be. Pizza equals food. Yes, Will Bennett. Pizza is one of the greatest foods ever created. Yes, it's programmer fuel. It's like coffee. Coffee or, you know, whatever you want to put in your mug. Like tea, you know, Pepsi Max, whatever. Pizza implements I am nom-nommable. Have some coins, smartassky, except the bot's not running, I don't think. I don't know, that or I messed that up. One or the other. Derp. Don't worry, I'll run that command again so you actually do get those tokens there, smartassky. There we go. And let's refresh everything, make sure it's working. There we go. That time it worked, ASCII. So the bot wasn't running. Derpity derp derp. Hey Wheatlol. Hey Blitzkiller. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. It's raining tacos. I'm not the AI here, smart ASCII. Caffeine, the raw material every bite is made from. Alright, hype command's working. And the derp command's working. Hypes and derps. Derp, 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 derp. Okay. Hype derp. We were talking about that, smart ASCII. There's a way that we want to make that, though. Because what we actually want to make it do is we want to say hype derp and let you blast as many of the different types as is possible and actually make that be the real command, which then hype will be a shortcut for blast hype. So that's what we wanted to do. Oh! Blitzkiller, that's nice. Yes. I'm a big fan of Polycypher. He's got a good stream there. I don't do any gaming on this channel, but if you are interested in programming or tech or anything like that, this is the place to be. So welcome. So yeah. This is moving files to the right place. Moving notification interfaces to folder. To a folder. So welcome everybody. We are still doing some C# code. We're trying to focus on interface segregation principle, so we are actually doing a little bit of separating out our interfaces into more cohesive structure than what we had before. So that is going pretty well. You're doing 3D modeling and animation, Blitzkiller. I would love to see what you do. Are you running Blender perchance, or what are you working in? Doop 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 doo. I actually just realized, since that one hub piece worked the way it did, I wonder, can I get rid of these? I think I can. Very cool, Blitzkiller. Yeah. They have a lot of good courses on Udemy. Sadly, you don't find any of my courses on anything on Udemy. My courses are on DevIQ and Pluralsight. So if you have either of those, you can actually find some of my stuff. Will Bennett on top of things, making sure that we want to test out. We refresh, make sure everything still works. But we already knew that one worked. The crappy ads. For Udemy stuff, I've never taken on... So, I've watched a couple of Udemy courses that weren't bad, Stoolpenner. But part of the problem with Udemy is that there's no quality standard there. You can pretty much put whatever you want on Udemy, and it could be good or terrible. So, okay, so that stuff works. Let's try this one. New Udemy website right here. Twitch. There we go. The important vote, everybody. Clearly, I'm voting for 3. And everybody else just votes for Twitch. There you go. Good job, everybody. But the point is that our voting still works, and that's really what we're checking. Alright guys, I'm about to cut that off just so we can get moving forward. Hey, Kasru showed up. Welcome everybody. Seeing a whole bunch of familiar faces in the chat there. Oh, sorry Soul Dead, I just killed that. just ended the vote. Sorry about that. Anyway, what was I gonna do? We've got the last thing I wanted to check was our hangman command. And that's still working as well, so that means we really are able to remove what we just did. So maybe you guys can complete that hangman game. Looks like I got you off to a bad start by guessing E. That was a mistake. Don't guess numbers, Wheatlaw. That's a really bad idea. That will get us killed. Wheatlaw's trying to kill you guys. He's trolling. I really should remove, we technically allow the option for, oh, there it goes, failed. Alright, so what did we do here? Removed unnecessary code. Remove unnecessary code. I might have typoed that word, I'm not sure. It's a hard word to spell, give me a break. Okay, so cool. So someone made the suggestion that maybe what we should do is trigger a hyper a derp depending on whether we lost or won on Hangman. Oh, we have some remnants of some old stuff in here. That's weird. That's messier than I remember. Hangman display notification. Do we want to do it this way, or do we want to do it from that end? Actually, now that I think about it, the easiest way to do it would be this. Just hop down here. And just... function, do hype. Couldn't I just do this? Guess I could change out to that. Let's try it. So if I extract, whoops. Hang on, I need to kill the site. Sorry, killing rock, paper, scissors out from under you guys. It's gonna die. Sorry. No rock, paper, scissors game tonight. I think you'll all survive. Derp, derp, derp. Derp, derp, derp. Okay, let's... This time I actually do have to make sure I refresh this. Hype still work? Okay, so hype still works, which means we can do this. So that's going to be do hype. This is going to be do derp. Thanks, Janisku. Yeah, Janisku, we can probably do that at some point too. So there we go. There's do hype and do derp, which means we can now do this. Hangman lose. Instead of running hangman end game, we could do game over, wait a few seconds, end game. Instead of doing this, we could do derp. And then on this one, on win, we could say do hype. There we go. Let's try this. Let's see if it works. Not the ideal scenario. We want to do it some way else, but this would be the fastest way to get this done. So, Hangman. What's going on in chat? Yo, so I have a question. Can people pay you to tutor them in certain subjects? Blitzkiller, yes. Yes, I do mentoring as part of my job. So that is actually one of my main things. Although if you're independent and wanting to get started with things, you probably won't like my rates. Yes, exactly. Poor Isaac. Oh, this is one of the units. The question is which one? It's either N unit, X unit, or J unit. Feel free to take a guess. Oh, game over. Hang on, wait for it, wait for it. Derp. An auto-triggered derp. There you go. What was it? It was J unit. It was J unit. So it depends on the engagement, things like that, Johan. I work with companies, and I also work with individuals. So it depends. Some of the clients I work with, if they're going to be getting a lot of hours, I lower my rates a good chunk. But I can talk with people about that. I'm probably not going to mention my rates here on the chat, but I'm willing to talk with people about it over in Discord if you want. And Microbic Music. Welcome, Microbic. Thank you for following. I take it that means that that you enjoyed some of what we've done here today. But seriously though, Blitzkilla, go ahead and join the Discord, and you can chat with us there. Wow, Will Bennett. Oh, I don't think I'm overrated. It's just not something I talk about all that much. But no, my rates vary based on what it is I'm doing. So just mentoring, for example, is very different from prices for training or doing general consulting work. So length of engagement, size of the team that I'll be working with, those sorts of things all make a difference. And there is actually a client that if he wanted to work with me, I would triple my rates, and then I'm willing to work with him. So I do have an existing client that if he does ever want me to work for him again, he just has to pay me 3 times what everybody else pays me, and I will gladly work for him again. So, all right, let's try getting a hype to fire. So let's try and win a hangman game, everybody. Oh wait, hang on. What the heck word ends with 2 S's? Oh, it's WordPress. There we go. WordPress. Okay, and then it triggers a hype. There we go. Please no wild cards and guesses. Ah, nice. There we go. So that actually worked out pretty well. So hype and derp both function. Do hype, do derp. Simple hype, derp, trigger on win, loss in Hangman. Okay. Waste Fellow, hello, welcome for the welcome to the stream and thank you for following. Yeah, sorry, Jadiscu. Can we combine commands and do herp? No. So what I want to do, Lunatic, is I want to make a more interesting change. I want to add in the ability to so alias a command with parameters. Simon Jeering, yes, all the hype and derp, all through our commit history, tons of hype and derp. That's basically all we do here is hype and derp all day long. Am I the only one annoyed by the sudden disappearing of the emotes? What do you mean, Castor? Like when they start blinking out? That they don't fade out or something like that? Hangnam kind. Select star where guess equals correct word. I want to see property-based testing discussed on this channel. The guy behind SCheck would be excellent to invite. Fuel Stable, go ahead and ping me in Discord about that, or on Twitter or something like that, and let me know, and we can absolutely talk about doing that. So, talk to me about it off stream, where I can, you know, actually chat about that. The hype shouldn't be just random sprites, but it should be a bunch of little sprites and one big one, which chases them. Yeah, and we haven't even started F# yet. We could fade them out or let them continue out of screen. Oh, so Castor essentially like removing the barrier after a little bit. That's a cool idea. So like they do get to go for a little while and then they eventually fade off screen. I like the winking out, but if you don't like that, that's fine. We can maybe figure out a way of nicing that up a bit. I'm fully committed, right? Yes. Everything's committed. Oh, yeah, we could, Kazru, hop on GitHub, send us a pull request that fixes it. So, here's what I'm trying to think of, guys. So essentially, Wheatlaw, I want to be able to have this work. I want blast hype to be the actual command. I want to make a blast command, and that's the one that does the like blast thing, right? And then the other thing with that is that if we make it so it's blast hype and blast derp are the commands, I still want the shortcuts. So I want hype to actually be an alias for blast hype. So like that. So Kasru, I liked the suggestion that that Lunartic made of instead of having them completely just wink out, you could have them fade out or something like that. So if you added a slow fade at the end to have them disappear, that would also work pretty well. Or maybe after a certain point they stop caring about the walls, something like that. Maybe might be a way to do that. So then. They maybe bounce once, and then their second bounce they go through the wall. So Wheatlaw, yeah, we do have aliasing for that kind of thing, and we do have a way that we handle all of the command words that link to commands. But the trick is that we want to have I want to be able to have it so you can alias calling a command with a parameter. So, for example, if I do quote 3, it says I swear it's not rigged, but it would be nice if someone could just say, you know, exclamation point rigged, and it called quote 3 in the background. So essentially calling not just quote, but quote 3, for example. So there's a lot of things we could do if we can make aliases that call other commands with parameters. So that's the idea. So that's what I was thinking about when you asked what I was thinking. That's what I was trying to think through, is how we're gonna do that, because I really like the concept. Yeah, so I want it to be so that you could type in rigged, and it would call quote 3. Here's what we're storing right now. Let's take a look in the SQL Server for this. We'll take a look at the database table. So the table where we store this right now is right here. And what we have is the command, what type it's supposed to be calling, and whether or not it's the primary one or not. So these are all our aliases for everything. Yes, Wheatlaw, there's a database, which is how we can change them at runtime. So I can alias at runtime. For example, I could do alias add derp derp. So then you could, now our alias command has a bug right now, but the next time we run this, drp will work instead of derp. Yeah, so if you take a look, now we have derp is the primary, and drp is not the primary, and they call the same type. So that's the way it's wired together right now. But what I was thinking is, if we added another column that was arguments or parameters to pass in, that would actually work. So we could essentially just add a table, and it could be empty or have a value in it. And if you called in on an alias and we had that value, we could pass in the arguments, which actually might work nicely. That I agree. This table's not ideal, Wheatlol. Not ideal at all. I'm not a big fan of the way this works, actually. So the question is, we could make another table that was just the arguments, and it matched up to the alias here. So if there were an alias, you could pass it in this way. That is funny. I just noticed we wired up some things that aren't commands. Alright, that requires a derp right there. Oh man, I didn't know we had those. That's funny. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's not really here. We just tossed it in the table, but it shouldn't really exist. That's funny. That was a nice little derp there. Anyway, let's take a look at doing it that way. Command word entity. Not ideal, but what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to pass in the string. No, we want it as the arguments. Ugh. Alias arguments? We might have to do it that way. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. Public, class, alias, argument, entity, data entity. And then we're going to add in a property that is an alias argument, and it is going to have a command word entity. Command word entity, and it is going to have string argument, and I think we need an index on it, so we'll do int index and an argument. So that's not the worst. 2018, shouldn't it be possible to git clone a subdirectory? Sorry, Kazru. It's only 2018. We don't get that technology till 2028. Alias argument entity. Okay, so we're going to pass in an argument to an alias. Neither of the other ones. Why is it complaining? Okay, anyway. In the alias command, when we come in on the alias command, why is that so wonky there? What even is this? What was going on there? That was crazy. Anyway. Okay. Oh, Arid Tag, are you here? I don't know if you're here. I forgot, you were the one that wired up aliases in this. Thank you for that, by the way. We do always appreciate people that send us pull requests for things. Command word, policy, type name, repository command word. Command that doesn't exist. Operation singular default. Where do I create my new word? Arguments. Let's see. Where did I use oper? Oh, add alias operation. Very nice. Very nice. There we go. Operand word equals that. Help text is that. Try to execute. Word, new alias, was element under default 2. Okay, so then, var arguments equals event args question mark dot arguments dot skip 3 whoops, question mark dot skip 3 to list, because I like having the list. Does it not need that? Will it be fine with that? Whoa, okay. Alright, what's going on in chat? Let's see. I just found out I can download, so that'll make it work. Git is good because it's a simple distributed version control system. That is also its drawback. Yeah, Fuel Snable. That is an indentation settings. Oh, Johan B. I live in Northeast Ohio, so Midwest United States, part of the Great Lakes area. Isn't there a string termination problem? Question mark dot. Wheatlaw doesn't like our null propagation using our null conditional operator. I believe Facebook and Google are trying to make a Git fit a mono repo approach, but I think that is likely trying to change a bike into an airplane by duct taping wings to it. But needs the ability to play poker and Cards Against Humanity. Oh, you like question mark dot? I like question mark dot. It's fantastic. Oh yes, Wheatlaw, I agree. I should have a guard clause up here. You're correct. Event args. Null equals any. We're going to return the help text. And it wants to add braces to it, which I would love it if it added braces on this same line. So I could just do that. And now we shouldn't need, unless I typoed that, which I apparently did. Hang on, let me check on chat. What if there were no null values? Yeah, Fuel Snibble, I'm really looking forward to not having null everywhere. So for anyone who doesn't know, we're going to add null. So the C# 8 is supposed to get nullable reference types, and what that means is not that they're adding nullable reference types, because we already have nullable reference types. What they're doing is they're allowing us to specify that a reference type is allowed to be null. And essentially that means that we can then say that our reference types cannot be null unless we specify that. So if you turn that on, then you don't have to do all this null checking anymore all the time, and it's just glorious because it had to be. So here's what I want to do. I've got this code wrong. So I want to say event args. I'm just going to do this. If event args equals null, or event args dot arguments Okay, if event args question arguments equals null, or event args arguments, if there aren't any, return. Otherwise, continue on. Now we no longer need those. We also do not need that. And instead of any, I want to say count greater less than 3. Or if arguments count as less than 3. Is that a list? Alright, arguments.count is less than 3. Element at default, which means that we no longer need that because there is an element at that location. Because we required it. So we're going to do this. Instead of add or default, we're actually just going to use our indexer now, which works a little bit nicer. So cleaning up that stuff, let me take a look at chat. Lunatic, it was nice seeing you here. Take care. Both have... I would change that double would be a decimal. Wait, double decimal? What are you talking about? People are specifying double as decimals like 0.1, which isn't exactly a representation of double today. Isn't there an is empty? Yes, Wheatlaw, but I want to make sure that there's an amount in there. Maybe var args equals... Yeah, I want to skip the first 3, though, because I don't want the ones that we were using, which is going to be add, command, and new command, basically. So this is existing word. Whoop. So anyway, it's like that. That blue dot defining the spaces bothers you. ThinkBot Labs, sorry about that. There's actually a keyboard shortcut that turns it on and off. So Control RW will show you white space if you want it in Visual Studio. Some people get bothered by it. I like it, but I'm weird. So, you know, varargs. Null is useful in assembler, but for high-level programming, I think empty values would be a better approach. Yes, I agree. Varargs, eventargs, arguments, yes. Yeah, sorry, Wheatlaw. People can fight over the tabs and spaces things all day long if they like. You use JetBrains. By JetBrains, do you mean you use Writer ThinkBot Labs? If you do, then I mean, I have Writer installed on here, and I've got ReSharper installed as well. So, okay, so we add this new arguments in here, and I want to do something with it. So, what do? We try and grab that from the database. You see me missing that already exists, so we create a new command here. And then I want to say if arguments.any, then I want to say I want to do this after we create the command. I need to say if arguments.any. Actually, no, I don't do if any. I do for each argument. So for each argument, we are going to say var arg equals new. What did I call it? Alias argument entity. There it is. Argument command word entity equals new command. Index equals crap. Well, in that case, for I arguments dot count. We'll do it this way. Which comes with the added benefit of not having the confusing extra name. Here's the arg. Now, do I do it all as one command, or do I just shove them in one at a time? Let's put this in a method that returns back a list. Control-Shift-R, extract method, and we're going to call this create needed arguments. Create needed arguments. And we are going to say this is not void. This returns a list of... Actually, no, we're going to do it all in here. List of alias argument entity. Argument entities equals... Yeah. Maybe one of those. What? Writer. Switching to JetBrains Writer about a month ago. Love it so far. Oh, that's cool, ThinkBot Labs. We used it about a month ago unintentionally because Visual Studio broke everything on us. We updated to a new version and it stopped building our code. I'm stretching the menu. You think what will improve the code a lot? Oh, you think tabs will improve? Also standard loops. My writer would cry on compiling this code. Standard loops have their issues. I never use for or for each. Oh, you just use a while loop, Wheatlaw? Or what do you do? I use these because developers know what they mean. So we're going to add those, and then down here, oh, it made it static, you son of a... I was wondering about that. Oh, actually, I just realized I did this the wrong way. I shouldn't have done that. I did that wrong. My bad. Hang on. We're undoing all of this. This is not the way we're doing that. That is wrong. Don't do what I just did. That was bad. Here's what we're doing. We're creating this command after this. Derp. Don't structure it that way. Do it this way. Arguments. There we go. Fixed. Derp. I had meant to do that from the beginning because I structured it that way because I was thinking, yeah, then we get auto wiring up and we essentially make the command almost be the aggregate at that point. So the alias is that, and then these are just pieces with that. So that's the idea there. Oh, you used the for each on it. You used .for each, yeah. Yeah, so what they're suggesting, just so everybody knows, is that you do something like this. So you say arguments dot for each, and then once you're in here, you can actually just do an action on it. The problem is, this will not give me the index that I want, so I have to find the index another way, which I could just, you know, break out int I equals 0, and in the for each, I could just increment this, for example. So I could do for each and then say this. So this is the code they're suggesting I do instead. Something along these lines, and then I don't know what would I have to do. I'd have to do I++ like that. So that would be the way that we could write that code. This is what they were suggesting when they were saying do a fluent with a for each, was essentially to do this code, which would work, I believe, but I think this would scare a lot of .NET developers away. So we're going to leave it the way I had it. Not because that code doesn't work, because it will work. So both of those should work just fine. But I want to do this way. We're going to pass it in there, we're going to do that, and then let's build. We're going to run this, and then what I want to do is, why not for each var item in list instead of for. The reason why is because we need the index. So because we want an index, we did it that way. Alternately, we again could just add an I at the beginning and just be incrementing it as we put it in there. So I could do a for each and just have, you know, my int index equals 0. And then when I use it down here, I could say index plus plus, and that would also work. And I'd essentially have a combined for and for each loop, and it would work just fine. But I think that would confuse more devs than it would help. So I think this is probably better understood. So let me go ahead and stop the site for a second. I'm just going to do this. We're going to kill that fully. Yeah, sorry, stream delay. So you probably said, of course, thanks, and then I kept going because of stream delay. So I... Sorry about that. Didn't mean to say it multiple times if you got it 5 minutes before I said it. And yes, as Wheatlow's saying, so I don't know what he's specifically talking about because I didn't read it, but progress does not mean the previous way was bad. The previous way could still be good, and you can still be making progress. Always trying to improve the stuff we're doing. Okay. So the code compiles and runs, the bot is back in here. Technically this new arguments thing is here but doesn't work yet, so let's not use it just yet. What we need to do is this. We need to update the migrations from EF Core. Brain, do your thing. Alright, so this is adding initial alias arguments code. Say hello to my son Elliot that you can hear in the background. I'm guessing he's getting a diaper change or needs a nap or something. I'm not sure which. But it sounds like the world's ending. Seems to be declarative trend makes it easier to convert code to say F# than the true, yes. Exactly, Stolpenner. Elliot's upset that he doesn't get to write code. That is precisely what it is. What is it? It's, add migration test, and I think I need to specify the project of where the migrations are. So it's this project name, and that should create a new migration. So this is going to do an Entity Framework core migration right here, and we'll see what's in it. Looks like it added the new alias stuff. So we're gonna delete this, by the way. That's why I called it test. So I always do my migrations as test first, because I want to make sure that it did what I thought it was gonna do. So we made an ID, we made command word entity, which is a GUID. It's a foreign key right there to that. That worked. And then it also added constraints table foreign key column command word entity ID. Created an index on alias argument entity. Alias argument entity has a command word ID, primary keys on ID, foreign keys onto that, and so this is a one-to-many relationship, and it drops that table only if we get rid of it. So that's perfect. I like that change. Actually, I should say it's not perfect, but it is good enough for what we're doing here. So that means we're going to make the actual migration for this. So add alias arguments table arguments. There we go. Add alias arguments. There we go. Take a look at it over here. Has index on that. Command word entity ID. Command word entity ID. Okay. So, update database. So in theory, that might work now. We might be able to add them. We're not using them yet, but we might be able to add them. So now we're going to have to do something with them. So let's test out adding them. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the bot again. So the bot should say hello. Hang on. Say it again. Wait, did it say no migration? Oh, crap. I know why. Stool penner, I know why it said that. Because I ran it. Derp. Hang on. It's because I ran the code. That's why. It automatic. So I have it set up that if there are migrations yet to be run, and we try to run the bot, it will automatically add those migrations as well. So that's why it happened. Yes, I do an auto migration stool penner. That's why. Good catch, by the way. Okay, so alias add to derp. We're gonna say derpity. Derpity derp derp derp. Did that run? I don't think that ran. I'm not sure I believe that. Because it didn't reply about it. No. Did it even add the other one? Did it even add derpity? No. Okay, so something is catching it. Where in the alias command might we have kicked ourselves out? The first one is the word add alias operation we got here. Did not return the help text. Let's do this. Herp to derp. Yeah, lol, something went wrong. Yeah, it should not have been silent. That was bad. Herp to derp. Okay. Oh, dang it, I can't do that. Whoops. Derp. Let's bring the bot in one more time. There it is. Alias add derp derp bitty derp derp derp. Our operator should be add. It is. The word we're adding to is derp. We'll get down here. Type name. Type name was not null. Operation to use. Okay, it's not null. Yep, we had those. Skip 3. Arguments should be derp derp derp. It is. Perfect. Did we throw an exception on this somewhere? Where did I call that from? Hang on. Well, that's funny. Yeah, let me take a look. What did I do? So we've actually used, so we've been adding stuff. So we did a bunch of code with Interface Segregation Principle earlier in the stream. We also explained it at the beginning of the stream as well. So if you missed that, we actually have a video section that you can check out here on Twitch. So if you do want to see the beginning of this video, that is the place to do it. You can actually start watching it now, even it's already recorded. So you can take a look there. Which also reminds me that I should... why is that not working? So what did we derp in this thing? Let's get the bot going again. There's a Discord if people want to check that out. There are also YouTube video recordings of our videos as well as the ones here on Twitch. Alias add derp derpity derp 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 derp. And then let's jump into the add alias operation, which needs a breakpoint right around here, because that's where it's going to jump to. Ah, that's why. Okay. That is an easy one to fix. I forgot you need to do this. That's why. Now it's going to work. Whenever you add a foreign key relationship in an EF core entity like this, what you need to do is you need to actually put the element here. Argument is null. Yes, Wheatlaw, you're right. Sorry I missed that. So the idea here is that when EF core hydrates this object from the database, it will overwrite this value and create its own list. But when you are not creating it hydrated from EF core and you're creating your own object, you can do this to make that work. Doesn't have to be Wheatlaw, but you are correct. This probably should be something else, but I'm not gonna mess with it just yet. Hydrate derp. Since this code should be running now, so I'm gonna do that. Created new command derpity for derp. Now what I want to do is I want to take a look at this data, and we got derp, derp, derp. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see, so that means the creation of these is working. Creating argument storage for aliases. Creating argument storage for aliases. Perfect. I like it. There we go. So we are well on our way to having that actually work the way that we wanted to. Sorry, Wheatlaw. You don't have... Yeah, Wheatlaw, customization of the bot is restricted to just the moderators and the streamer. So, sorry about that. Not even the subscribers can do that. Anyway, a couple of things I want to mention. If you don't yet, you could follow DevChatter on Twitter there, or you can follow me on Twitter. I am at Brendonius. Obviously, my name is Brendan Enric, and if there are any ideas, suggestions, anything like that that you have for a project, you can find it on GitHub at github.com/devchatter. All of our code here is open source, and we make it available, so if you guys want to contribute or do anything like that, it's open source. You're welcome to help us out with it, so if you've got any complaints, ideas, suggestions, this is the place to get us them. So, anyway... let's see, so other things to mention. So today was Solid Saturday, so we talked at the beginning about Interface Segregation Principle. I want to thank everybody for that. It was very fun. If you want to be like me and have an awesome I'm Coding mug, so it says I'm coding, it's got our derpy dinosaur on it, yours will not be invisible, because you're not on a chroma key web stream thing. They're available at our merch stores, and you can get yourself one as well. There are also stickers and other things like that if you're interested. A couple of things. If you want to see any of our old videos, check out some of our old content. Best place to find it is our YouTube channel. You can find our archives over there. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, you could obviously use bits, subscribe, or check out our Patreon. Any of those work. Obviously the merch store also supports us as well, so whatever you're interested in, it all works. If you are interested in chatting with any of us after the stream, I recommend you take a look at our Discord. A couple of other things I want to mention. We, here at DevChatter, stream 4 times a week, and if you want to know what our schedule is, I recommend you check out our schedule command or look down below so that you can see it in your time zone. Our schedule command takes in a place, searches for it, finds out the time zone, and lists the times that our streams happen in your time zone if you specify. So we stream on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so if you want to take a look at that. Why does it not find England? I don't understand that. Did you put in something weird? Is that not really England? Is that like I, and? Did you do that? Is that what you did, Ancient Coder? Are you messing with it? Oh, it really doesn't know England. How does it not know England? Huh. Oh, I know why it doesn't know England. It doesn't like England. It likes Scotland, Ireland, the UK, but not England. So there you go. Anyway, so I wanted to mention that stuff. And then lastly, let's go ahead and do this. I want to click the buttons. So we're going to scroll the credits real fast. So we want to thank a bunch of people for helping support our stream. We want to thank S&B and Stoolpenner for moderating the chat today. I don't think it was a lot of stuff to do, but thank you anyway for being here. It's always nice to have you here. And we have a whole bunch of people that followed, so thank you to everybody who is on that list. It is always greatly appreciated when we get new followers here on the channel. We hope you make it back to our next episode, which will be on Monday, so that's 2 days from now. And we should be doing something fun there. We're probably going to wrap this up and get some new commands and things like that. Schedule my location. Well done, Will Bennett. And anyway, with that, I think we're probably pretty good. Pyro, yes, you made it to the end. Welcome, Pyro. Pyro, Pyro, if you want to get mentioned, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel. That's not that hard. So, anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here, hanging out, chatting with me. It was really great. If you do still want to catch some of us, seriously, best place to do that, join our Discord. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. I look forward to coding again with you guys on Monday, so enjoy the rest of your weekend, and happy coding, everyone. Take care. And a hype to go out on. Very nice.